You're listening to the Outfitter Pros Podcast, the show for outdoor enthusiasts by outdoor enthusiasts. On the show, we speak with outfitter owners and outdoor professionals across North America and hear their stories of turning their passion into a profession. Whether you've been in the outdoor industry for years, are thinking of pursuing your own passion as a profession, or simply want to discover new outfitters for your next adventure, this is the show for you. This week on the Outfitter Pros Podcast, I am speaking with Carrie Soulliere. Carrie is a pretty phenomenal person. She is a raft guide. She's big on the river community and in the river community. She has an insurance agency called Covered with Carrie. And she has a huge heart to serve the rafting and river community because most of the people that work in this industry, they actually qualify for $0 coverage, and many of them are just unaware of it. And she can even help with like river race liability insurance, like all the way up to class 5. She really is just focused on serving her consumers efficiently in her agency through automation and all of these cool kind of back-end system things that she has going on that really just benefit the consumer in the end. So it's pretty phenomenal. Her business is actually in the top 15% of agencies nationwide and is exclusively serving the outdoor community. So it's pretty phenomenal. I'm excited for you to listen to Carrie's story today and to hear what she has to offer to this amazing community that we all know and love. So buckle up and get ready for our conversation with Carrie Soulliere today. Well, Carrie, welcome to the Outfitter Pros Podcast. I'm really glad to have you here and excited to talk with you today.
Thanks so much for having me, Paul. I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you.
Yeah. So for those that might be watching this on YouTube or might be watching it on the video version on Spotify, you're in your bus. You're in your
I'm in my RV, yeah.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about this RV, because like this is something I've wanted to do for a long time, but talk a little bit about this RV life you got going on here.
Yeah. So 10 months ago, I did not have an RV. I did not have a house. I lived in a shack. I lived in guide housing at OAR at the Ocoee River. I arrived, I think like a lot of people do, just kind of lost, a little broken, didn't have very much money. I did have a business. I owned a business, but a lot of things were going wrong in it. And I was like, I don't have any money. I don't have a car. But things have happened in my life over the last 12 months that have given me the opportunity to buy an RV and completely change my life and my business and have so much purpose all of a sudden. It's really quite shocking.
I love that. I love that. It's when I was a guide, I was out on the Arkansas River in Colorado, and I lived in a tent. Most of the guides did. There was a local rancher named Joe Kogan, and he donated like a large piece of property for all of the guides to like have camp on and have tents. And if you were an established guide, you had a camper or an RV. But if you were a rookie like me, you had a tent. And I remember just, man, what a cool lifestyle it was. But I was always so jealous of the guys that had like an RV and had like a legit nice like cover over their head, because I would have to wake up even in June and like get the snow off of my tent because it freaking snows in June in Colorado. So yeah, but I love that. I love what you got going on. So I don't want to just talk about your RV today. I want to talk about you and what you got going on. And I'm really excited because we're both river folk. We're both river guides. It's kind of how we started out in our journey, and yours is taking you to this place in your business that you're at now, which is not ultimately like the long-term goal for you. And we'll talk about that as well. But I want to talk a little bit about, before we, get into what you're doing with Covered with Carrie and with your business and your dreams and goals for future business as well. Like, let's talk about the river. Let's talk about kind of what even drew you to becoming a raft guide in the first place?
Oh my gosh, the first time I went whitewater rafting was just like, that's it. Like, I love this. And I met whitewater later in life, mid-20s. I didn't even know what it was. And I lived in West Virginia, not too far from Fayetteville.
Wow.
And I had no idea. I was like, I don't know what that is. Someone's like, you like that? And I was like, I don't know, let's try it. And I went on a fun run with some people. And I was like, wow, that was the best day I've ever had in my life. and it was just perfect. And it was that instant draw. And for the first part of like my river running, private boater, just straight up, like I went private boating. I had a lot of health issues in my life. I have an autoimmune. So I was like not consistently going all the time because I would be sick sometimes, and then I would go back to rafting. And I guess it was like 4 years ago, I was like, I want to go rafting all the time. Like that is what I want to do. And I worked in corporate America, and I hated it. And I was a horrible fit for the environment overall. Like they loved me kind of like, but it wasn't for me. So the first thing I did is I went to a guide training out in Colorado. Just basically my first thought process was I want better skills for myself. And I wanted to build skills. So I went with Katie Smith, who owns Intentional Adventures. And we went up in through, oh crap, oh shoot. But we were on the upper Colorado, Rancho del Rio, there we go. But went into guide training with rowing, and I was like, yep, I love this. And it just kept transitioning. And I was like, I don't want to work in corporate America anymore because I want to go rafting. That's all I want to do. So I quit my job. I worked in an insurance call center as a licensed insurance agent. It paid okay, but like, and opened my own business with the intention to work less so I could go rafting. I knew it paid terrible. I just wanted to go. And I never talked about what I did for a living. I just went, and it's built up. And last year I finally was like, I'm making the move. This is the year I'm going to finally go guide.
Wow.
And I went and arrived at guide training at the Ocoee River in March of 2023. And it was so cold. That was like my first memory. It was, oh my gosh, I forgot how cold March is on the Ocoee.
March in the Southeast is still pretty chilly. I remember like in I'm not sure how old you are. We seem to be close to the same age, I imagine. And it was 93. I was a young pup in 93. I was like 5 or 6, and we had the biggest snow ever, and it was like in April. And so it was snowed like feet. And that doesn't happen much in the Southeast. And man, it was awesome. So yeah, March, especially for guide training and getting in the water because you got to swim, you got to do all that. Oh my God, I hope you had a dry suit.
Oh, I was one of the few that did. I felt so poorly for everyone that just arrived for the first time. You know, they didn't have their own PFD, they didn't have anything. They had a wetsuit and splash gear, and I'm like, I don't want to go swimming at all. And there was a tree down in Broken Nose the first weekend, like, and we just sat in it. I don't know, 5 times in a row, and I was like, I don't like this. It's so cold. Like that's all my memories. Holy cow, I forgot this part.
Yeah. I didn't even go whitewater rafting. I'd never been until I went to guide school. And so I remember I'd went on a cruise and I had met I'd met this couple and they're like, yeah, here's a website called coolworks.com and it's nothing but cool jobs. And so I applied for 2 jobs. One was to be a wilderness field instructor at this place in Second Nature Entrada. I don't even know how I remember that, in Utah. And then to be a raft guide in Colorado. And the people from Colorado called me back first. And I remember I showed up out there, set my tent up, and I think I had a wetsuit and, some booties and stuff. And it was the same thing. It's like I was not, and that was cold. Like that was even in May, like it was cold water. Like it was rough for sure. But I learned a lot. Where did you said you did some guide school out in Colorado too?
I did. Well, I did guide training with Katie Smith, who owns Intentional Adventures.
Gotcha,
I had no intention of working out there. I just found a lot of times I try to focus on doing women-focused events. I really enjoy associating with women in the community. I find them extremely empowering overall. So I went to a women's-only guide training the first time. And it was just an amazing experience. I loved it. Just being able to experience that surrounded by other women was extraordinary. And she is an extraordinary human being as well.
Wow. That's great. That's great. So you came back to the Ocoee, you did some guide training on the Ocoee. And so and that was just not so long ago.
Last year.
Yeah.
And I was an insurance agent before, obviously, and I helped the owner of OAR with her own health insurance. That's how this all started. I found her on Ladies of the Whitewater Community. That's where I found that job. Is I again went to the women. I said I want to work in a women-friendly environment. Like, where are we going? And she stepped up and said, I own an outfitter, and I liked what she had to offer, so I went to work there. I helped her with her health insurance, and she was like, can you help everyone with health insurance? I was like, yes, I'm licensed nationwide. I can help almost everyone in the world, like, with health insurance. She said, well, no one here has health insurance. I was like, pardon? What do you mean no one here has health insurance? Like, it was, I never thought about it. I did not talk about what I did for a profession with my friends ever. It just seemed kind of weird to me to sell to the people that I hang out with on the weekends. But health insurance is an inherent human need, especially in this community. And I mean, this was like stitches are here, like things happened. So it just overall, I was shocked. So I enrolled her outfitter. She brought them to me the last day of the month, because that's when you need to enroll to start health insurance on the 1st. Like, you got to do it by. So she went to their cabins and went and grabbed them, housing, like, come here, you need to sit down. And every single one of them except one qualified for free health insurance.
Wow.
And the one that was not free was for 2 people, and it was 41 cents a month. And I approached her and I was like, so does everyone in this industry make this? Because I've obviously never been paid in this industry. I was a private boater. I have my own raft. Like, I just love sharing the joy of the river with other people. Like, my favorite thing ever is taking someone down a river they've never been down before, that I know inherently well. So she was like, yep, absolutely. And that opened a real conversation of pay in this industry, of what this is, of how poorly paid it is here, that everyone that I help generally either lives below 150% federal poverty line, which is very low income.
Yeah.
That's below 20,000 in the state of Tennessee. Or they are a weekend warrior. Like, that's kind of the 2 directions of this industry. And that's concerning, and kind of like made me think that this is not me selling something. This is me providing service and a true need.
Yeah.
So I don't know why, but I decided to throw a party. I was like, I'm going to throw a taco and beer party on Cinco de Mayo. It'll be taco, beer, and free health insurance. What else do you need?
Well, no, I have a question now. I was like, what kind of beer did you have, though?
Oh, I had so much beer, and there was no PBR. I'm staunchly against the PBR in life.
But it's Poor Broke Raft Guide. That's what it stands for.
But I wanted to get better beer than that.
Good. No, I'm glad you should. That's great.
So there was Cicada, a lot of beer. I don't even drink beer. So I went to the store and was like, this is fun. Here we go. And just like, I was sending people pictures. I was like, I don't drink beer. What do I buy?
That's great. Well, hopefully at least the people that you asked that had good taste.
They did. I could see that I made good choices. There was not much beer left. But I remember I was just terrified because my business was not doing well, but I just kind of was like, they like beer and tacos, they'll at least come for that. And if there's like a statistical odd that they don't have insurance, maybe they'll talk to me.
Yeah.
And I'm setting up for this party, and I threw like my last $800 in it, pretty much, like $400 on beer, $400 on tacos. And I was like, oh, I hope this works. And I was setting up, and people were there like before the party was supposed to start. And I was like, are you guys here for the party? I'm almost ready. They're like, yeah, go take your time. We're really here for the insurance. And I was like, oh, really?
Oh,
and,
interesting.
I enrolled that whole evening. I helped so many people at that first party that it was shocking to me, because it's not heard of in my industry. In my industry, you pay money to talk to someone, like in the sense that you buy data on the internet and you call that person. You're like, hi, I heard you need help with insurance, and their data might have been sold 10 times to someone else.
Wow.
And instead I had people coming saying, I need this help, and they all qualified for free insurance. Was shocking. And that they wanted dental and vision insurance because it was affordable was really what it was. And after the party, I just kind of sat there and I thought about it. And I was like, this is the thing. How can I scale this and help more people? And the thought was I would go to the outfitter and say, hi, this is who I am and this is how I can help. And it doesn't cost you as the outfitter anything. You just let me come talk to your employees and I'll bring food and I'll bring drinks and just let me help them. And it just kept snowballing. And all of a sudden my calendar was full and my phone never stopped ringing.
Wow.
And the fact was, at the beginning of this, I was pretty kind of over my industry. I was like, I got to do something else in life. This is not working. I had signed bad contracts because I didn't know what I was doing. And it was this whole learning lesson, but the community need was so overwhelming. I couldn't see how I could abandon it.
Yeah. And I love that too, because it's like you have this passion for the river, right? Like so much so that you quit your job as at the call center, as at an insurance call center, and you're like, man, I'm going to be a raft guide. I'm going to move into this. I'm going to jump into this because I love the river. I love the people. I love the community. And that kind of followed you along though. Like you get there and you're like, wait, there's no insurance. Like, wait, what? How does this happen? So it's like the fact that you love the river, right? Like you didn't just leave your desire and helping people with insurance, right? Like you like to help people. And insurance does that, especially in this industry. So one, I want to talk about how you kind of how you kind of changed and moved into like, man, okay, maybe I can just do insurance for guides and really serve this niche really well. But let's talk about the community first and like why do you have such a passion for these people? Like why do you have such a desire to help this specific people?
I mean, I'm one of them. Like, I don't think anybody arrives here knowing why they come. And I arrived lacking community, lacking support, lacking family, and I found everything I need here.
Wow.
These are my friends, these are my people. And how can it be a job when you help your friends? It's a mission, like pure and simple. Like, yeah, you can call me at 1 a.m. if like your world's on fire because I care about you. And to have purpose is like inherently special because there's so many purposeless jobs in the world.
Yeah.
And like, I don't have to do one of those. I used to answer the phone when people died. That was my job for a living, was I took death claims. So I've just seen the worst of it. And I feel like so many people here have too, but we band together and become this family for each other. And that's important.
Yeah. I love what you said at the beginning of that statement that, I'm going to butcher it. I'm going to definitely pull that part out of the pod, out of that as a clip. Because man, I don't think people know, people don't know why they come here, right? They don't know how they got here or why they came, but they find something very purposeful and meaningful in that. And I just love just that mysticism of the journey, right? And like, I think if anybody's listening to this has been rafting, like, there's all kinds of different types of raft guides. Like you'll see a variety of backgrounds, you'll see a variety of personas, a variety of, just personalities in that. But there's like that one thing that binds us all together is the love for the river and the love of helping other people experience that joy for the first time or for the 100th time, right? Because it never ceases. It's always joy filled when you're on the river. And that's what I love about it too. So it's just, and the fact that you're so passionate about helping those people, helping our people, right? To provide that joy and have a little bit of a safety net, knowing that, man, if something does happen, if I get hurt, I'm covered. I'm covered with Carrie.
Yeah. And not only that, you're covered at a level that's actually affordable for you.
Yeah.
I had a raft guide that blew out her knee. Actually, it started as a workers' comp thing, but then like more happened. And all of a sudden she was having a second knee surgery. And I was like, walking her through how to make sure this bill was as low as possible, which the most it would have been was $1,350 for blowing out her knee. Like, and at the end, so far, it's looking like it's going to be less than $200.
That's awesome.
And that's amazing that we were able to like navigate that and that she just could reach out immediately. And I was like, this is a big deal. Let's make sure this happens because income matters here.
Mm.
Like, for example, the Ocoee River has, I think it's 27 active permits right now for 10 miles of river. You know, the average trip pay here is between $37 and $42 a trip. That's not enough. It's not sustainable. Medical debt should not be in addition to this, because, like, let's be real, if you get staph infection, like, you can't go file workers' comp for that, probably, because you have to prove the point of staph.
Right.
And sometimes workers' comp is not part of the equation if you're merking or things like that. Like, you know, some states, the state of Tennessee, if you're working as a Merc 1099, they are not required to cover you for workers' comp. It is so important to have your own insurance. Insurance is a transference of risk. You're taking the risk off yourself and onto the insurance company. And the fact is, you stand at the top every time and do a risk assessment, and health insurance needs to be part of it.
Yeah, no, that's super insightful for sure. And I'm sure there's all kinds of other states that have very similar laws, and most guides aren't going to know that stuff, right? Like, they're just there for the river. They're not looking at any of that stuff.
And a big part of this is like a corporate accountability. And I know for a fact there's outfitters out here that don't have workers' comp because they can't obtain it, or they're having a hard time. So, and their employees may not know. So it's really, you need to make sure that you're properly protected, because bad things happen all the time here. And, like, most of it's not a big deal. It's like, oh, I broke a finger, or, you know, I hurt my back a little bit and I need to go to the chiropractor, or I need to go to the dentist because I chipped a tooth. But, like, not always. And whether it's a small problem or a big problem, they don't need to take care of it at the level they think they do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that I think that's really good. And I want to kind of like take that, right? Because it's pretty clear, like, your passion for the guide industry, for the outfitter industry, and really more just giving them the coverage that they deserve and that they need. And so how did you, other than just being an asset, right? Like, when you first come in and say, okay, man, hey, I can help you. I have a background in insurance. I can help you with this. What actually inspired you to actually turn that into a full-on business model that you have now?
It's so funny. It started like a year prior. Like, I had been in business well over a year, and somebody had called me back when American Whitewater stopped providing, or the ACA stopped providing insurance for Class 5 races. And they're like, some insurance agent called me, was like, Carrie, I don't know, like, you don't even sell this type of insurance, but you're like a rafter. And this Beaver Fest called me, and they need insurance. Beaver Fest is in New York. It's the Class 5 race. And I was like, yeah, I don't know a dang thing about that, but I'm not doing anything today. So, like, I guess today I am going to know something about that. And I made this post on Facebook, and at the end of it, I found somebody to handle it, because it wasn't me at the time, which I can write Class 5 liability racing now, events now. But I was like, today I found out there's 2 insurance agents in the country that specialize in paddle sports. I think I picked the wrong career path. Ha ha ha. And, like, when I saw this need, I was like, I love marketing. I love doing stuff like that, but I just marketed to the general public with fair success. I was like, I could market to people that need me in ways that I understand. I can speak to them. And I just made a few posts to start, like, just a couple things. Like, I made a post of me holding beer in front of the North Fork race, and it was like, hold my beer, I can write Class 5 insurance. That was like the first transition into this. And I put it on bad whitewater rafting advice, and was like, roast me if you want, I'll take it. I was like, but canceling all these Class 5 events is ridiculous. I was like, I can do that now.
Wow.
And that was the change for me. Was American Whitewater reached out, ACA reached out. I started connecting with, like, Sam Carter at the River Radius, who's a great friend now. And I was like, hold on, there's a need here. And the first thing I thought was, like, I need to rebrand, because my logo was like a pink umbrella at the time or something like that. And I just was like, that's not appropriate for who I'm talking to anymore, because they came to me and said, we're here, please help us. And you're supposed to speak to your market.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I just had an idea, because, like, it's funny, because, like, in the kayak community, right, for a long time, probably in the late 2000s, early teens. That's weird to even say that. I don't even know how to say that. The early teens. It was like in kind of the brown claw, right? Everybody just threw a brown claw that was like hucking some gnarly stuff. And so that was in the kayak thing, but it kind of transitioned over to the whitewater thing because like everybody that was mostly paddling, pushing rubber was paddling hard boats on the occasion. So I was like, I just had this idea of a logo of just like a brown claw holding like a beer or something. That'd be a pretty sweet logo. Anyways, sidetracked. Um, so you start Covered with Carrie, you rebrand, you have this great vision, this great mission for what you're doing. What are some of those challenges that you faced as you kind of launched into that?
Oh, I never had enough money in the beginning, ever. So my business pays very slowly. Like when you own an outfitter, they pay their ticket, you have your money. That's kind of how it works. For me, I sell the product, sell the policy, and I get paid 45 to 60 days later.
Oh.
So I was going through this massive scale that, like, when I started, when this happened last April, May, I would help maybe 5 to 10 people a month with health insurance. And then that went to 35, went to 75 a month. And it was just me, and I didn't have any systems or processes in place. It was me, a cell phone, and Excel spreadsheet trying to like keep track of everyone. And all of a sudden I'm having 300-400 clients where I had 20 before. And I was like, I have no systems. And then I got invited by NOC to come stay on property, enroll their staff. And that's when it went boop. And I instantly was like, I need automation.
Yeah.
And that was really the big shift, was changing from just being this single person, just notes, text messages, to moving to a fully automated system was very hard, but so worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now talk about that. Cause I think most outfitters, like I'm in the marketing side of things. And so it's like most outfitters do not, I would say they're 10 years behind when it comes to digital marketing, right? Adoption. So whether that be SEO, paid advertising, some of them are doing paid, but automation especially. So it's like, talk about when you moved into kind of finding an automation system, and like, what did that help you accomplish? Like, what did that really take off of your plate?
It removed redundant things, was the first and foremost. So let's say you want to make an appointment with me and I meet you out in the world. Before I'd have to be like, oh, here's my booking link, da 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 da. Now I'm just like, hey, text health insurance to 304-507-8039, and my automation is going to get you intaked and like on my calendar. It's going to remind you, like, you are going to answer the phone when I call you, or you're probably going to reschedule, like, because my automation took all of that off my plate. So now the only thing I have to do is make the sale. Before I had to foster the relationship from point of entry to the sale, but now I have funnels and all of this that makes sure that it's just handled. Or if someone's past due, I can just throw a tag on something and it'll send them a reminder, or I can send automated voicemails. It's in my industry, I'm required to be very compliant, get required forms, essentially. Like, if you were like, hey, Carrie, I want you to sign me up for health insurance, like, that's not enough. Right. Like, I need to have you sign a form now. I didn't have to do that at the beginning of this. So that was another layer I had to build in because something was added. Sure. But I was able to obtain all of those during open enrollment without manually sending them myself or even talking about it. Just like add a tag and send out an automated email drip, and it's done. And I feel like the industry here could really marginalize on this a lot and make a lot of forward movement. You and I use the same automation system. Yeah. It's like a very powerful tool. And what they use in the industry now is clunky, outdated, bad. 100%. It just is.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing you even said is like, you had to do all of those redundant business tasks of like, get the relationship, nurture the relationship. And now you just focus on sales. And that's what I think so many people, especially in the outfitter industry, is like, there's all kinds of booking systems out there, right? Fair Harbors, Peak, like all Flybook, all of these different things. But that starts immediately at the sale. And we all know that there's the pipeline starts way before that. Like, you need to get a lead and then nurture them along. And that's what these softwares, these systems are set up to really help do. And I love that.
And the thing is, I'll call an outfitter owner or whatever to chit chat. Like I called the manager a couple weeks ago because I live at a campground and I had to pay my rent for where I'm at right now. And they answered and they were like, oh, I'm at an expo for this, that, and the other. And I wanted to be like, well, how are you inbounding these leads? Are you using a QR system? What automation are you using? How are you retaining their information? How are you making sure you don't lose track of them?
Yep.
Because like, selling 2 tickets is really cool and great and all, like having 2 clients come, but selling a group is really where you want to foster and grow in this business, is being a group focused business, because the volume really matters, because this is a very tight margin business.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
Unless you have extra, you're not going to make a lot here unless you're really smart and make pointed business decisions.
Right. And I love too, like, because your mind thinks a lot like the way my mind thinks. And so we have these marketing brains, which is I think a blessing and a curse on occasion. But it's because my mind never stops working. And so as you talk about, and you and I were talking on a phone call before we got on this episode today, like you really built out like a course, like you leaned in and did like a lot of really cool marketing things. Talk a little bit, and I know your course was more focused towards insurance agents, correct?
Right.
So talk a little bit about what that even could look like for outfitters. Like, have you ever thought about how outfitters could do something similar for their industry?
I really feel that they could implement some things for like fair and industry standards and training standards across the industry by doing an automated marketing course. But let's be clear, you can go get trained here, there, wherever, but there is base fundamentals in this industry that people want to know, they would buy, they would use and utilize. Not only that, ways to get people onboarded as a client are super important for marketing. A marketing course is a marketing course. You could literally like implement it on anything. My marketing course was really like just an idea that I woke up one day and was like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't think much about it, but I said, I had all these insurance agents that would just book time on my calendar, like to chat with me about what I was doing with the raft guide industry and the outdoor tourism industry. And I was like, yeah, I'm really busy for this in my life right now. Like, you don't work for me. I need to focus on my own business. Thank you. Goodbye. And before this happened, I was super into mentoring other insurance agents. Yeah, you want to call me and talk for 2 hours? I'll give you my whole brain, no problem. But all of a sudden, I was like, but they wanted it so bad. Like, they wanted to know. I moderate some Facebook groups, and they had a lot of questions. They would message me, and I was like, I don't know what to do with that. And I had a friend who's very successful in a separate industry, and he's like, what you need to do is figure out how to take this from a one-to-one transaction to a one-to-many. And I just kept turning this idea over in my head, like, I don't know what that means. And I was like, I can make a course and just sell it via automation, and then like I only have to do it one time, but I can sell it to many people.
Right.
And that was kind of like this, oh snap. And I just kind of like posted on Facebook asking if insurance agents would be interested in that. And they were like, heck yes, we would. So I started a pre-sale, and I thought like 10 people would buy it because I just wanted to gauge the interest.
Yeah.
And I sold $25,000 of it in 48 hours. And I was like, what the hell? I didn't make that much in 2019, like combined.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, at that point, I was living in my guide housing. I didn't have internet in my staff housing because they let me stay even though I stopped guiding. I was like, I'm too busy to do this. And they're like, yeah, clearly you're like in a corner crying, but you can live here because you don't have anywhere else to live.
Wow.
And so I'm like walking to the internet, and I'm like, how did I just make $25,000 in 48 hours? I'm homeless. Like, I don't even own a car. And it was like this very changing moment because I was like, I have no systems, I have no processes, but I already had my CRM. So I knew I could make one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to like hurry up and make it really fast, and I didn't know what I was doing. So So I hired someone. That was the smartest thing I ever did. Is I was like, I now have someone that manages my CRM. And that is my favorite human on earth these days. Because I'm just like, this is what I need to see happen in there. And like, all of a sudden I have something else.
Yeah. I love that. Like that. Because that's what for me. So like we have the same system, and I build it out for my outfitters and for my guide clients. And I always tell everybody, I was like, if you can dream it, if you can think it, I can automate it. Right. And so that's the biggest thing, like having somebody, whether you can do that or whether you can think it, but having somebody that can build it. And it's phenomenal because you can save so much time and energy and effort.
That's the thing. Maybe you can do it. Could I do it? Yes.
100% you could.
But that is not my area of genius.
Right.
Like, and me spending time doing that makes me less money in the long run.
Yeah.
When I could just hire someone at a lower rate, they can do it more efficiently so that I can actually put my time and labor into the things that bring me income, because me doing that's going to lose me income compared to outsourcing it.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I mean, because that just comes back to like knowing what you're worth, right? Which I think a lot of people, in our industry, often struggle with that, right? Knowing what we're worth. Even as an entrepreneur, it's so easy, especially when you're first getting started, to have like that imposter syndrome and to really be like, well, no, I'll do it for this. But it's like, no, like you're worth something. Your time is valuable. So that encourages me to hear like you kind of standing firm on that and saying, no, it's going to be easier and cheaper for me to just pay somebody to do this because my time is worth X amount of dollars versus what this task would take me to do. That's really good.
Yeah. It's important because the thing is, yes, I technically pay someone a consulting fee, but that's putting my worth into perspective because this gives me time to focus on something. Like I consult for other insurance agents. Well, my hourly fee is just comparable as that one because it's my skill set.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the marketing course was really insane. That gave me this like concept that I can do whatever I want if I work hard enough, if I investigate ideas, and if I explore opportunities. Because that was literally like a ha ha ha. And it's at the point I've made almost $75,000 off the thing since August.
Oh my gosh.
And it's why I have this RV.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That, if I hadn't done that, I would maybe still be in housing somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I think what that encourages like this audience, especially if, they're existing outfitters or if they're thinking about starting an outfitter themselves, is, we live in a very seasonal, most places, it's a very seasonal thing. Like if you live in Florida, then maybe, yes, you can do it year round. But most places where there's whitewater, it's very seasonal. And so even for fly fishing or, different kinds of fishing guides, it's very seasonal. And this is where I kind of think is like, how do we help those people come up with some kind of sustainable income opportunities in the slow months? And that's where I think those courses could come in for them. Maybe they're not going to make a marketing course, obviously, but they're going to make, hey, here's a fly tying course. Here is a course on here's some, like reading whitewater. Here's like stuff like that could be really valuable for people.
Someone made a course on how to tie knots. Like I would buy it. 100%. I would. If you sold me a nice, well-automated course on how to tie all the knots in the world, please sell that to me. I would love that because I can go and dig on YouTube and whatever.
Right.
But it's not the same as an interactive course.
Yeah.
Like mine is full of click here's, go here's, look at this. It's very in-depth. And that's the thing. It doesn't need to make you $1 million. It's about having a sustainable income and like elevating the lifestyle. I feel like there's this deep acceptance here that it's okay to live in poor housing conditions. It's okay to be poorly paid. Right. And it's really about knowing your worth. Yeah. And the fact is, this is an industry of experience and skill, and it's repressed in income. The wages haven't changed here since the 70s.
That's crazy.
My best friend has been in the industry for 25 years. And, I'm going to guide this year up in West Virginia, and they looked at my pay and they went, oh, that was my first pay at my first job in the 80s. And I was like, well, trip pay is predatory. I know that. That's why I have to have another job.
Right.
Is if I want to guide, I can't live on that like sustainably, in my opinion. So it's really this thought of what else can we do? How can we elevate our industry? How can we call for more within? And part of that is just doing more ourselves and elevating the lifestyle that we live. Like, just because you like to be a dirtbag doesn't mean you need to live in somewhere filled with mold.
Right.
Like, it's
That's
not
true.
acceptable. Like, I had
Yeah.
to throw away most of my stuff when I left my last housing because it was full of black mold.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to up those expectations and up those standards a little bit for sure.
Yeah.
Um, it's pretty clear to see your passion and to hear your passion for those that are just listening to this, and so that excites me, and that's contagious for me. So like I'm excited and encouraged just talking to you, and I know that our listeners are going to be are encouraged and excited right now too. So, and I think I know the answer to this, but like if you could say like what's your one single why behind running your business? What is it?
So I have a 550 credit score. I came from like a poverty background. I want to own an outfitter, like
Mm,
pure and simple. That is my long-term goal. And the thing is, you either have to have good credit, good family history of back, like wealthy, higher up your income, or you did something else in life to get to owning an outfitter. Like, you see people that are lawyers. My friend Russ is a lawyer and he just opened an outfitter and he's older. Um, because he did something else in life first to have the income to do it. And I get to take care of my humans, like
mm,
my people, and have this long-term plan that someday I can open an outfitter and have it be well run. My people will be well compensated. They will be part of a union. Like, pure
yeah.
and simple, that is what it's going to be. They are going to have health insurance, and I'm going to figure out how to make it year-round employment, because you can do that if you have something else going on.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I love that vision behind that. Um, as you've been doing this, and so when did you said it's been in the last year or so that you just really started to cover with Carrie, right? So what has been in this last year one, and you've talked about several, but what has been one of the most memorable experiences that you've had while running your business? It could be related to a client you serve. It could be related to a trip that you took with a client. Like, it could be anything, but like, what's one of the most memorable experiences you've had in this last year running your business?
Honestly, coming home is the most memorable thing. So I left
Mm,
to Arizona for the winter. I went out and bought my RV in Utah and but I had to come home early because I had to make RV repairs. And I came home, and this wasn't home when I arrived here a year
mm,
ago. Like, it wasn't. I'm not from Macoe. I'm from nowhere, but um, like I walked in every single place and it was, "You're back. We missed you. Like,
mm.
this is your community. These are my people." And that is going to be with me forever.
Yeah. Wow. Just I mean, because that's I think born into us, right? Is like this desire to be known and to know other people and somebody
To have a
and
safe space.
yeah, to have a safe space where you're loved and you're welcomed like exactly as you are, right? And to have that, and a lot of people search their entire lives and struggle to find that, right? But for you to find that in the river community, it makes sense, right? Because like the river community is probably the dopest community on earth, but I'm
Oh,
just partial to it. So
best.
that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. So as we into like this, as you look at your business, right? You said there's a handful of other people that are kind of, serving class 5 policies or this, but like as you look at, because I know of several other like maybe guide for liability, guide insurances, things like that, but health insurance, like what makes your business different from maybe some of your competitors that might be offering the same thing as you?
I don't think it's inherently different in the sense that I'm offering the same product. It's that I built a platform
Mm,
that is targeted towards the community. Like, you could text the word Grand Canyon to my system right now and something will happen, because I found that people really seem to think about me about 24 hours before they go to the Grand Canyon. And like, that's now a really urgent issue. So like, if you say the word Grand Canyon to me, like, it's now making you fill out your form right now. It's sending me a text message in 10 minutes once it field verifies that you filled out your form,
mm,
so that I can get you helped right away. I've built this model that's focused on the community. And that means like I look through the plans with us in mind, because there's 4,000 plans on there, you know, on Marketplace. If you buy it through there could be 37 pages depending where you live.
True.
And I know the appropriate plan for the general person. Is it one size fits all? No. Like once you and I get in a conversation, it might not be that. But if you're a 28-year-old dude who just needs some health insurance to back it up, like I'll be like, here's your plan with free primary, $5 urgent care, free physical therapy, free generic drugs, free mental health. Like I got you, bro. Like if you break your arm, you'll pay 25% up to $1,700. Have a good day. And most of them go through the whole year spending little to nothing, because I met the needs of our community overall because of our demographics.
Yeah. Yeah. That's phenomenal. And two, like the fact that you know the industry, like you know the language, like most insurance places, right? Yeah, you said there's really not much difference there, that we serve the same policies, we could do this. You set yourself apart because you are a rafter, you are a guide, like you know the language, you know the people, you know the needs. And so like that right there is phenomenal. And I think that's what should make people choose you over anybody else. So yeah. So this is, as we're kind of coming to a close here, I have two more questions. So what is the absolute most favorite thing for you in running your business?
Treating my employees better than I ever was treating myself. So my favorite part of this is I've been able to hire salary staff.
Wow.
Like I have salary staff.
Get it? Yeah, that's awesome.
Crazy. I pay them more than I was paid 2 years ago. Like I probably more than I pay myself now, but I don't care about money. But like being able to say that we work with a community, that it's okay to take Friday afternoons off, and that, you know, we are going to close for a week on Christmas, but we're still here, and being able to do that because of this community is amazing. That is my favorite thing. Like, you want to take the day off because you're having a bad day, go for it.
Good. Yeah. I love it. You would be an awesome boss. You are an awesome boss, it sounds like. So they're lucky to work for you. And the future guides that you're going to employ are going to be super lucky to work for you. Yeah, work with you, I should say. Work with you.
That's
not
what
for
it
you.
is.
Work with you. All right, Carrie, as we're kind of closing this down, you know, this is another favorite question I have to ask. And I think your story, it really exemplifies this as well. You know, there's three types of people that really listen to this show: current outfitters, guides that have been running a business. You know, they're learning from you, they're hearing your story, they're remembering when they were there, or maybe they're looking forward to when they get to that point. And they're encouraged. There's people that are just, you know, out here listening for, man, hey, when can I take a trip? They're looking for an outfitter. And so you're outdoor adjacent. They might be a guide, right? That's looking for somebody to do a trip with. And now they're finding somebody that's going to give them insurance. But the third category who I'm the most passionate about is the person who has a passion. They have this idea, this desire, this dream to take this passion, be it guiding, fishing, hiking, whatever it is, and to turn it into their profession. What would you say to encourage that person right now that's thinking about launching an outfitter and pursuing their passion?
The first thing you should do is find the people that have what you want, and you should ask them if they got it. So I didn't get all this out of the blue. I've been an insurance agent for years, and I asked the questions every step of the way. I went and found the successful people. I told them I wanted to be better, and I asked them if they would help me, and they did. So you need to go out and you need to make a vision of what you want and see who's similar in the world, and ask them if they'll help you, because there's plenty here for everyone if you do it well.
That's really good. Yeah. And so many people that I've spoke to is like, it's the same answer, right? Like, find a mentor, find somebody doing this that's ahead of you, and just learn, be humble, learn, and then just stick to it and have some grit and determination, and you'll be successful in whatever you do. So
it's easy to succeed and it's easy to fail. It just depends which one you put the time and effort into.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. Well, Carrie, how can people find you if maybe they're an outfitter looking to, try to serve their guides. Maybe they're an independent guide looking to get insurance. How can people get a hold of you? Where can they find you and learn more about what you do?
You can go to the website to book some time to chat. It's coveredwithcarrie.com. You can shoot us a text at 304-507-8039. Or you can send us an email to carrie@coveredwithcarrie.com. And I would love if you followed me on Facebook. It's Carrie Grace Soulliere. And if you just put in Carrie Grace, it'll be the first one that comes up.
Very cool. And I'll, of course, link that in the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in the description below. Carrie, I'm so excited and so encouraged by just your story and your journey, and you're just a cool person too. So like I'm thankful to have gotten to speak to you for the last hour, and when we spoke last week as well. But I'm excited to see you grow and watch kind of where you go from here. So thank you for coming on the show.
I hope we can go for a ride down the Noli in my raft soon.
Bring it up. We'll do it.
Yeah, I'm down. I will talk to you soon, Paul. I loved this.
All right, me too. Thank you so much, Carrie.
If you enjoyed today's episode of the Outfitter Pros podcast, do us a favor, subscribe on whatever platform you're listening, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google, wherever you get your podcast, subscribe. And the second thing you can do is leave us a review. This really helps us to get more traction, get more exposure on the platform that you're listening to, so we can continue to share the stories of outdoor entrepreneurs across North America and inspire the next generation to pursue their passion for their profession.